From Fortnite to Coachella to handcuffs, he's the rising music star accused of a horrific crime, murdering and dismembering 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a girl he was allegedly in an intimate relationship with. But inside the courtroom today, all eyes were on David Burke's demeanor. We're told the singer appeared bored during a hearing where prosecutors began laying out their case. Gruesome images were shown to the courtroom as prosecutors revealed some of the most disturbing evidence yet, detailing what they allege happened to Celeste and how they say they uncovered.
It was the silence of shock. Reporters stopped typing. A mother bowed her head and cried. And at the center of it all, the man prosecutors accuse of stabbing 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez to death and dismembering her body. David Burke appeared bored.
The shocking crime. Burke, better known by his stage name David, is accused of stabbing Celeste Rivas Hernandez, dismembering her body, and concealing her remains inside a Tesla. He has not been convicted, and the allegations against him remain accusations. There are no cameras or audio recordings allowed inside this multi-day hearing, but we have a reporter inside the courtroom who witnessed the biggest moments firsthand.
The gap between what was happening on the screen and his reaction to it.
If convicted, David could potentially face the death penalty in this case. But inside the courtroom today, we're told that his demeanor was not what you would expect. Uninterested, it appeared at times, perhaps even bored, as prosecutors laid out gruesome evidence in his murder case. Today was the first day of an explosive preliminary hearing that could go through the rest of the week. The point is for prosecutors to show the court they have enough evidence for this case.
Is the story that defines this preliminary hearing. Before we go deeper into what the documents actually show, make sure you're subscribed to the VerdictOrigin. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. This is what it looks like when the system tries to make sense of the senseless. And there's a lot to make sense of. This is day one of a preliminary hearing that could determine whether David Burke stands trial for murder. No cameras inside, but we have reporters on the ground. Here is what was
this additional felony charge against David, stating that he dismembered her corpse after he allegedly stabbed her to death. But Chris, today for the first time, we actually in the courtroom saw photos of that portion of the investigation. We actually saw.
He's the rising music star accused of a horrific crime, murdering and dismembering 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a girl he was allegedly in an intimate relationship with. But inside the courtroom today, all eyes were on David Burke's demeanor. We're told the singer appeared bored during a hearing where prosecutors began laying out their case. Gruesome images were shown to the courtroom as prosecutors revealed some of the most disturbing evidence yet, detailing what they allege happened to Celeste.
A hand with fingers missing because, as prosecutors allege, Burke needed to remove the tattoo of his name from her ring finger. Evidence photos shown in the courtroom of Celeste's remains, parts of her body found in the front trunk of a Tesla, prosecutors argue, belonged to him. And while those images were on screen, one observer noted the 21-year-old singer appeared, uninterested at times, perhaps even bored. Let that sink in. This is the face of a man prosecutors say killed a 14-year-old girl because she threatened to expose their illegal relationship. His album was set to drop in 2 days. His career was worth millions. The prosecution's pre-trial brief lays it out plainly. On April 22, 2025, Celeste texted him in distress. She threatened to disclose damaging information about their relationship. She wanted more for herself. All we do is have sex and just hang out. Man, I want more than that for myself, she said.
Manipulate the victim as she messaged, all we do is have sex and just hang out. Man, I want more than that for myself. And these messages, they say, were obtained from defendant's iCloud data.
And prosecutors say that was the motive. The next night, they allege he sent an Uber to pick her up.
According to prosecution. And going to their brief, it says, quote, at approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 23, 2025, defendant sent an Uber to transport the victim from her Lake Elsinore home to his residence. Uber records showing defendant's transaction where he ordered an Uber to pick up the victim from her Lake Elsinore home and transport her to his residence the night of April 23, 2025. They communicated before and during her Uber ride, which dropped her off at defendant's Hollywood Hills home around 10:10 p.m. At approximately 10:30 p.m., defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. The people contend this was part of defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder, as she was already dead by this time. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career as she had threatened, very soon after the arrival at his home, defendant stabbed the victim.
From her home in Lake Elsinore, he transported her to his Hollywood Hills residence and stabbed her to death. If this case is so clear, why did he appear so detached? What we saw inside that courtroom was a contradiction. A mother, Mercedes, sitting 3 rows ahead of reporters, bowing her head and crying.
Both sitting in the courtroom, they were sitting directly in front of me. They were about 3 rows ahead of me, and I could see the victim's mother, Mercedes, just bowing her head down and crying when those evidentiary photos were shown to the courtroom. But I do want to lay out what...
As the images appeared, the victim's father was there too. Reporters stopped typing for a moment. A heavy silence fell over the room. And then there was Burke's attorney, asking the judge to remove his handcuffs.
Request for him to appear in court unshackled. Now, their argument is if jurors see him, handcuffed, there is an appearance of guilt. There is an appearance that he may be a dangerous individual. And that could threaten, they claim, the impartiality of the jury members who are tasked with deciding his fate. So they went back and forth over that today. The judge decided on this. She says the defendant, David,
because visible restraints might make him look guilty. The judge agreed to remove the handcuffs, but left his waist and feet shackled. They proceeded with the hearing. A business associate testified about Burke's finances.
Who is paying the bills, who is reviewing expenses, and just how much money was involved in this operation around this budding artist with what's been described as a multi-million-dollar music career ahead of him. Well, let me give you the numbers this witness laid out. He says between 2023 and the end of 2025, David raked in gross earnings of $10 to $11.5 million. And he says that record label head made anywhere from $3.5 to $4 million off of just David. Now, why is this relevant? This goes back to that first-degree murder charge and the special circumstances around that charge. There are 3 of them. Those special circumstances may...
Laying out gross earnings between 2023 and 25 of $10 to $11.5 million. Why does that matter? Because prosecutors allege he killed her for financial gain.
Financial gain. Prosecutors allege David killed this 14-year-old because she threatened to expose their illegal relationship, and that would have threatened his career. So we're expecting this cross-examination to continue on tomorrow morning. Court proceedings are scheduled to start again at 9:30. Same rules.
Those special circumstances mean he could face the death penalty.
In an investigation, these special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr.
S. What happened in that garage? In May 2025, after Celeste's death, prosecutors say Burke ordered a body bag.
Assuming these allegations are true, go back to the pretrial brief. Prosecutors claim May 1st, 2025. Defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws to his home. May 5th, 2025. Defendant ordered and Amazon subsequently delivered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool to his home. He made these purchases under the fake name Victoria Mendez. May 8th, 2025. Defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m. He returned to the area again on May 31st, 2025. This is an isolated site off SR 154 where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January 2026.
Heavy-duty laundry bags, a blue inflatable pool, and chainsaws to his home. Here is where the evidence gets specific. Prosecutors allege he placed her body in the blue inflatable pool.
The prosecution alleges at some point he did the following, quote, defendant took horrifying measures to destroy and discard the victim's body. After placing her body into the blue inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor, defendant used a chainsaw and perhaps other tools to cut off her limbs. Small blue plastic fragments were found embedded in the victim's remains, which were collected by the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Department. The fragments were analyzed by the LAPD's Forensic Science Division Trace Analysis Unit. An expert was able to make a physical fit match from the blue fragments to the blue inflatable pool purchased by defendant in May 2025. In order to distance himself from the victim, he amputated her left ring and pinky fingers because her ring finger contained a tattoo of his name. Her fingers have not been recovered. Defendant then placed her head and torso into the cadaver bag he purchased. He placed her limbs into a garbage bag, which he deposited into his front trunk, laying the cadaver bag on top. For several weeks or possibly months, defendant left the victim's body
to prevent blood from spilling onto the garage floor. He used a chainsaw to dismember her. He placed her head and torso in the body bag and her limbs in garbage bags. He deposited them in the front trunk of his Tesla. For several weeks, or possibly months, the prosecution says he left the body to decompose in the vehicle. It was then parked about 400 feet from his Hollywood Hills home. The car was towed in September 2025. The tow yard manager noted a strong smell of decay and the presence of flies.
Prosecution alleges that the manager of the tow yard where the Tesla had been impounded noted the strong smell of decay and the presence of flies coming from the vehicle. He notified the Los Angeles Police Department. Hollywood auto detectives, through departmental resources, determined that the Tesla was registered to the defendant. At the tow yard, LAPD detectives opened the Tesla's front storage compartment and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects. Inside the bag, they discovered a severely decomposed head and torso. A plastic garbage bag beneath the black cadaver bag contained the dismembered arms and legs. However, the victim's ring and pinky fingers on her left hand had been amputated and were not found in the Tesla.
LAPD detectives opened the front trunk and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects.
September 17th. Detectives from the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division serve a search warrant on this reportedly $20,000 a month rental property, which David was renting near where the Tesla was found, 1368 Doheny Place, and bags of evidence are reportedly seized. And, according to the prosecution in the brief, quote, inside the garage, detectives discovered evidence consistent with the dismemberment of the victim's body in the inflatable pool, which contained multiple linear cuts. Several biological samples which tested positive for blood were collected within the garage area. DNA analysis.
Inside, they found the severely decomposed head and torso, with the arms and legs in garbage bags beneath. That is the evidence they presented on day one. That is what was met with a display of boredom by the defendant. We are in the preliminary hearing stage.
I'm a parent of 3 children, and a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. As we will show in a court of law, and what I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear, is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court.
The judge, not a jury, will decide whether there is sufficient probable cause to move forward to trial.
And instead, this case would move forward through a preliminary hearing process in which a judge, would determine whether there's sufficient probable cause to support the charges and have this case move forward towards trial. We're going to get more on that in a second. April 20th, 2026, Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announces the formal charges against David.
Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD.
The defense has already signaled that they will challenge the prosecution's evidence.
April 21st, 2026, Celeste's family breaks their silence. They release a statement that says, "We would like to thank the Los Angeles Police Department and the District Attorney's Office for their hard work. We would also like to thank the people of Lake Elsinore for all their support. Celeste was a beautiful, strong girl who loved to sing and dance. Every Friday night was movie night, and we spent wonderful times together. We love her very much, and she always told us that she loved us. We miss her deeply. All we want is justice."
They want to bring the evidence into the light of day to establish their client's innocence. For now, we are left with the image of a father and a mother sitting in a courtroom, forced to relive the nightmare of their daughter's death on a projection screen. While the man accused of taking her life sat motionless, staring back at the images as if they were nothing more than a minor inconvenience. All we do is have sex and just hang out. Man, I want more than that for myself. She wanted more than that. She threatened to expose him. And now she is gone. Where do you go for the truth in this case? Go to the source. Download the public pre-trial released by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. Read the words for yourself. We've linked it in the description.